I
from
have
a
a bone to pick. I have a bone to pick with Maresca ball.
I'm curious what that is. What's the bone?
We don't have the caliber of people on the defensive side of the ball to play this style. It doesn't work.
question.
Yes.
Is two of our four being out today part of that, or is it all overall?
I think it's overall.
Some of my like standouts for the not good side were Tosin, Sancho. I thought Gusto was kind of bad today too. Reese's return we can talk about if we want. Jackson was good. I thought Lavia was great.
I don't trust Caicedo still with the ball. I don't have any confidence in him with the ball.
I thought Caicedo played fine. Not phenomenal, but not bad. Oh, and I thought Viego was terrible. Terrible.
I mean, the dude's 19, having played in the Swiss league 4 months ago.
So
He's playing over Chills. I think Chills would have done a hell of a lot better in that position, but especially in a big game against Liverpool, might want to go with somebody who has some experience. Not
if
burn
he's
out
gonna play, he's got to play.
not
Right?
burn out Malo Gusto on the left because he's kind of useless on the left, unless you're just talking about straight defense. And yes, he can do his job very, very well, but you take away his ability to bomb up and down the pitch when you put him on the left.
Sorry, I was distracted running numbers here. Matt, just a little tidbit for your Maresca ball comment. We are on pace to concede 25 less goals in the league than we did last year.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. We don't have the caliber of people to do this. A back three with the way that our defense is, even with a back four, we can't do it with a back three. Liverpool, I would say that's probably where they exposed us the most, was just simple through balls or over the top balls. That's it while in transition. The whole notion of having three at the back with the caliber that we have, it's not going to work. I see a lot of problems with it.
Even in our standard back four, if you look back at Poch, when
I'm
Reece
not
James is
talking about
healthy,
Poch. I'm talking about Maresca.
Okay.
That's the only thing I'm focused on.
I know, and I'm countering you with the fact that we've been playing with the same three at the back for 5-6 years now.
The same three at the back.
Reece James and Ben Chilwell bombing forward leaves three at the back. We've been playing three at the back going back to Lampard Part 1.
I'm not talking about the wing backs specifically. I'm talking about our center backs predominantly. I don't have an issue with the wing backs. I don't have an issue with the my issue has to do with the inverted wing back philosophy with the players that we have. I understand it. It can work. I get that. You clog up the midfield, you stop the transition ahead of time. I get that. But we do not have good enough center backs to be able to pull this off. That's my argument.
Right. So what I'm saying is it doesn't matter where the wing back goes.
Save it for the pod.
The wing back isn't in the back four. So you're still either way, Maresca ball, Lampard ball, Potter ball. It's three at the back, and it's been basically that same back three since we lost Rudiger. So I'm not convinced it's a system issue defensively.
I didn't say it had to do with the system. I said we don't have players to fit the system in order to do this.
But Maresca ball is a system.
So let me clarify. We do not have the right people in place on this team to be able to handle this Maresca ball style. Additionally, we know what this ends up doing. It ends up leaving us probably even more exposed than having Reece or Chills kind of bomb up, because our midfielders or our wingers at the time also did not track back. So they did not have a ton of coverage in that scenario.
So we're worse having an additional player in front of the back line. Is what you're saying.
I think we're worse having an additional player in front of the back line because of the fact that we play in this midfield. And that works great if we can stop the counter. But if there are balls that are going through two levels, like we saw today with Liverpool, they opened us up so quickly and so easily that way.
Yeah, but Liverpool's done that to us for years now. Like
it was more evident in this style. That's all I'm saying. It was more evident. I saw it more evident today in this style than I have before.
All right. On that note, welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast, middle of the pod introduction edition. Full house. Chelsea lost. We're Matt and I getting into it already, but we got the full house. Parker's here too. Parker, we'll start with you. How you doing?
I wish I had some popcorn. Yeah, I'm fine. Disappointing result today. But life is good. I'm done traveling for the rest of the year, which is really a fun thing to be able to say out loud. I don't remember the last time I've had, 3 months off from travel in a long time. So that's kind of cool. So that just means kind of getting everything ready and squared away. Built a crib today. So I assembled a crib. I don't want anyone to get the idea that I actually like built something from scratch. I'm not Matt. I I assembled a crib today. So it's been cooking, cleaning, thinking, preparing, reading, all kinds of fun stuff. So getting into that mode, getting there. So wife was 37 weeks on Saturday. So we're kind of into that like any day territory, and doctor's appointment tomorrow to kind of hopefully set an induction date and go from there. So it's all vibes over here in Colorado, boys. Matt, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, doing well. Just I had kind of a fun weekend. Yesterday was my wife's birthday, so we spent that at a kid's birthday party. So real good times. But no, it was good. Just kind of hanging around the house, doing some stuff. Um, help my wife make her meals for the week. So I was kind of taking care of all that while she was hanging out with the little man, and um, yeah, was able to sit down and watch the game, which was nice. You guys know I love my garage. I have my TV out there, so I was able just to crack open the garage door and just let her go, and it was a good time. But yeah, an unfortunate result, but hey, still got to watch it. So that's it's somewhat new territory for me nowadays, but we'll take it. Collins, how are things with you?
Busy, busy, busy. Had Aiden's football game yesterday. Ford Madison final home game, regular season home game of the year. Also purchased my playoff tickets. First time they'll ever be hosting a playoff game in their existence coming up in November. So very excited about that. And then today, just family shit all day. So using that to then transition into a week of meetings down at our corporate headquarters for work. So nice little run of no rest for me, but it is what it is. But I think listener, you kind of get the vibe already from pre-pod there. But we'll just get into it. 2-1, and instead of starting with our initial thoughts on the game, Parker, anything to add about defensive system?
Yeah, kinda. I don't know that we have the caliber of players that we need for it, to Matt's point. I see what you're saying, Colin. So we've kind of had this three at the back for a while. It's just like the personnel of it, then where do they go, and how we this one's a little bit more flexible, which I think in the short term leads it to be a little bit more sporadic and like liable to give up goals, because people don't always know where they're supposed to be until they know where they're supposed to be. Whereas when we had the wingback system, I think it was a little bit more clearly defined, right? Like, Reese and Chills were kind of bombing up and down, and our central midfielder, which would have been like Jorginho and crew, and Kovacic or Matic or whoever it was back then, like would kind of stay put, right? And they wouldn't go as far forward. So we had a little bit more protection in the middle and then less protection on the wings. This system, the commentators talked a lot about it today, where Gusto was sometimes our farthest man forward. He was showing up as a right winger sometimes. He was showing up as a left winger. He was on overlaps. He was all over the place, and it caused chaos. So I think we need to rename this chaos ball and not Maresca ball. It's just like people are kind of everywhere. And I think like we're still in early stages of this. We still have a very young team. We still have a young manager for who he is at Chelsea. So you're gonna see like more erratic results because of it. Um, I'm not blaming the system for conceding 2 goals against Liverpool. Um, I'm not blaming the system for conceding 4 goals to Liverpool last time we played them. So I don't know if it's a system issue per se. Um, Today, just speaking about today, not having 2 of our 4 main defenders hurts. I know we got Reese back, which helps, but uh, some of that is going to cause it. So it's Tosin's first start really in the Premier League, if I remember right, and it's a big one to start in. And so he didn't have his best game, in my opinion. Uh, there was some shakiness between him, shaking us out of Sanchez out of the back. Colwell, I thought played fine, minus the errant kick. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be one to watch. I think if they don't kind of progress in the next 3-4 months, Matt, you might have a solid point of who we're playing with and the personnel we're playing with. I just think it might be a little bit too early to call it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think just to kind of go along with kind of the small bone to pick, I'm not saying like it's life and death or anything like that, but it was, to me, it was more evident today. I think specifically around the point that you brought up, Parker, around Malo Gusto. He was everywhere. Like I don't know if that was what he was supposed to be doing. I don't know if he was helping out Lavia, like trying to kind of figure out where stuff is. I don't know, but it's it's a very unique system. And I think the other point is not everybody on our team can do it. And hopefully when you implement a system, you weed out who can do it, who can't, so on and so forth. But you still have people who still like don't seem to get what this system is, right? You said it perfectly. It's chaos. We don't know where people are at certain points in the match. People were saying that Malo Gusto might have been our striker at some point. Like that's how far forward he was. Um, it's a interesting it's interesting to see, just kind of like you said, the early stages of it. There are a lot of flaws, new system, new team, new personnel, new manager. I get the whole thing. But today it looks like we got exposed in certain situations where Liverpool hit us on a counter or transition, and we were consistently, you know, sprinting back as fast as we could because we were just on our horse because we had to be. We just seemed a step behind, a step slow, and Liverpool was able to, I think, just utilize some simple through balls, a few over the top, and we were all of a sudden just on our heels. And it's nervy to watch that when it just kind of happens consistently. Um, and Colin, you might know this, or maybe this is something that you would have an insight to. I'm curious as to the amount of goals that we have conceded as part of like a transition or a counter. That's something I'd be curious to know. Um, just because I feel like we aren't giving up like a ton of set pieces or anything like that. It's not through, like long build up play or anything like that. It's usually just a few quick passes and then the opposition is in. Um, so like I like the idea of clogging up the midfield, but keep it in the midfield. I think we're in positions where we're getting too far forward. When Vega came on, he deer in headlights. That's all I could think of. Deer in headlights. He did not know where to go, what to do. He just looked lost and very uncomfortable. If you don't have somebody as a backup who is comfortable in that system, they shouldn't be on the bench. Like that's how I look at it. If anything, you have your guy, Chelsea legend, KDH. You have him on the bench, slot him in there. He at least knows the system and he knows what would need to happen. It's I'm just confused by why we're still, or not why, I know why we're still doing it, but I'm curious as to the personnel that we have and trying to make them meet the system. It just might not, it might not end up being exactly what we want, and there might be some opportunities to grow there.
Collins, I'll let you talk in just a second. I want to just quickly interject this. Matt, we Liverpool had 9 attempts today, 6 from open play, 1 from set piece, 1 from counterattack, and then 1 penalty, which gets categorized as an attempt. So I didn't feel like they picked us apart like on the counter consistently. Like there was a couple plays, and a couple of them were 5 or 6 pretty nice passes together to kind of unlock us. I thought our press to win the ball back was relatively decent today. And it's Liverpool. Like you gotta tip your cap, when it's due, right? I mean, Liverpool plays at a high level. They're first in the Premier League, and you know what? They're going to unlock some teams from time to time, and they're going to get their attempts. And I look at those stats. I don't think we were the worst off team today. Like I don't think that we really conceded a lot of attempts. They scored 2 goals off of 9 attempts. Tip your cap to that. And it's an unfortunate penalty. I think if the penalty doesn't go their way or whatnot, it's a pretty even contest, all things considered. And there's a penalty shout that we could, talk about on the other end too. That maybe could have been given our way. So I not blaming the refs for this one, but I thought, on a different day, going to Anfield, we played pretty well.
Yeah, and to answer Matt's question, I don't have transition goals in front of me here, but I can say that 40% of our goals this year goals against have come off of a set piece. I include penalties in a set piece. So only 60% of the goals we give up is from open play. And just looking, Liverpool have conceded 0 set piece goals. Arsenal are at 25%. And City's the other one that I just pulled up here. And yeah, theirs is a very minimal set piece as well. So I don't know. I can't necessarily blame the transition, because usually in a match it's one opportunity, it's one transition goal, one counterattack goal that bites us in the ass. The rest are usually when we take our foot off the brake. So, and Parker, I agree with you in the fact that this is Liverpool. This is a team that has been a top 3, in fact, a title challenging team for what, 4, 5, 6 years now, maybe even more than that. I don't know. We're missing 2 defenders. Marc Cucurella is a key, whether Matt likes it or not, is a key defender in this setup. You're missing him today. Clearly that other center back spot is another key one, because Tosin is a more off the bench guy. I don't really understand why Axel Disasi isn't trusted. I thought he was kind of a rock there last year, although he did have his shortcomings as well. Body Shield hasn't been the same since he picked up that injury a year and a half ago. And Colwell is Colwell. He's young, but he also has his shortcomings. Hector from Milwaukee Blues and I got into a little bit of a conversation in the international break about that. But it's a young, growing defense, and having 2 out of your 4 starters out is not a great time to evaluate, especially playing against the caliber of team that Liverpool is.
2 things to add. Liverpool's the 2nd or 3rd oldest team in the league, and the team that they shot it out today is really like their starting 11 from past couple of years. I mean, it hasn't really changed much in the past couple of years. And the other thing I wanted to add is Gusto's a starter, or has been a starter, especially with Reece James being injured. He's starting on the left for the first time, and he's playing the inverted wingback from the left for the first time. So he's completely out of position then too. And I think that led to, different pairing with him and Lavia. I don't know when they've played together really. Lavia hasn't gotten many starts so far this year. Sancho's a new entrance to the system. That whole left side is brand new. Like it hasn't played together at all. And I think we saw a lot of that disconnect, right? Where Sancho was kind of on an island for the first half that he played. Didn't have much help. He tried to take Trent on one a couple of times. Trent did well from what I saw, and I think he lost a little bit of confidence because he tried to go one and it didn't work the way it has worked so far this year. Again, kind of you tip your cap, right? You play to a level of Liverpool, and you kind of have to adjust on the fly. They were able to take a couple of our stronger pieces this year, like Palmer, like Sancho, a little bit more out of the game. Even Noni, Noni had his moments, and I think that he was relatively good. Uh, but I think like if teams approach it and say like, okay, I'm okay with Noni and Jackson beating us. I'm not okay with Palmer and Sancho. And if they lock down on a couple of our pieces, we're gonna have to get creative on how to beat people and how to kind of unlock different systems and different looks to kind of switch things up. So I think this is a learning lesson.
Yeah, and it's good to have this early in the season, coming off of a nice low win streak. The boys have a little bit of confidence. Um, we're going to get some players back from suspension. Players are coming back from injury. Um, yeah, Parker, what do you think the vibe is in and around the club right now, coming out of the international break, dropping points here to Liverpool, and now having kind of a tough fixture list coming up?
Tough fixture list, sparse with some of the UEFA Conference League stuff. So I think we get a chance to regain confidence midweek, even though the team that you largely saw today isn't going to be the team out there for those. So I think the vibe has to be relatively positive. I think they know that the result on the paper wasn't reflective of how they played, and I think that it was probably there. And like that's the message from Maresca, where it's like you played well enough to get a result, you didn't get one, and that's just like that last 2% of a couple of things here, a couple of things there, a couple of moments there. I watched the Vikings Lions game, and they said it as the Lions kind of went down and kicked a field goal to win the game, and kind of took the game out of Minnesota. And it's like there's a couple of moments where you got to just do a little bit better. You got to get a first down in critical moments. And people talk about Mo Salah, and Mo Salah comes up in big moments, right? He had the goal, slotted it away. Sanchez had saved his last two penalties. I was kind of thinking maybe he could go on a streak there. Mo slots it away, and he provides the assist. Like big guys come in to big moments and step up, right? We're getting there. You can see us getting there. You can see the progress getting made, and we're just kind of a half step or a short step away from that, from starting to be able to compete with guys that normally do it. And then you got to take advantage of them when they're on their off day, and go toe to toe with them when they're on. Like that's really the test. But I think we made Liverpool look human and beatable. So I think you have to take this as kind of a bit of a moral victory. Get a little bit pissed off about not getting the result, and take it out on who you have next. I'm not sure. I know we've got a tough fixture list. I don't know if you have it up or not, but I can't remember who we've got next.
I do, and so it's I think kind of go along with your vibe here. It's a lot of learning games, a lot of games where we can grow as a squad. We got midweek this week, Panathinaikos away, and those Greek games away are nuts. That's going to be a big opportunity to learn a lot about how this team deals with adversity. And then following that, you got back-to-back fixtures with Newcastle, home and then away. Newcastle can be a tough place to play. They're also a team who hasn't picked up any, or who has dropped points in their last 4 matches domestically. So, can you keep that role going for them? And then finally, you got United at the Field of Dreams, and they're going to be looking for, not Field of Dreams. Oh man, Theater of Dreams. Thank you.
I was gonna let you have it. I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna stop you, man.
But anyways, United just picked up their first win in forever, and so they're going to look to keep that rolling too. So there's a lot of opportunities for A squad, B plus squad, and B squad to see who's rising to the top here, to see who's rising to the opportunity. And if you chalk this up as hey, we played pretty well, we just couldn't finish it out. Okay, roll with that, and get some results here in some pretty big games. Get to Carabao Cup. What would that be? Round or quarterfinals? Yeah, get into that quarterfinal game. Solidify that lead at the top of the conference league. Pick up some points against some teams below you in Newcastle and United. I think that it's a very winnable, but also very tough fixture list coming up. And I think there should still be some positive vibes around the team with that. Matt, what about you? What do you think the vibe is in and around the team?
I mean, it's still a work in progress. I like what the commentator said at the very end of the match, that we are a rapid work in progress, where we're starting to see things change in our favor. We're in a better spot than we were at this point last year, right? I think we're all in agreement on that. So it's good to see. You can see the positives. There are still some negatives that need to be addressed, but you can start to see a lot of the positives and why, we're on such like a high right now. Yes, the loss to Liverpool is a little bit of maybe a reality check. But again, it's not like we got our asses handed to us. And Liverpool hadn't really been challenged at all this year, so it was a good test for both teams. Things go a slightly different way. We get a bounce, we get a call, however you want to look at it. It's a draw, and the scope of the conversation changes drastically. So I think we still have a ways to go. We're not there yet, but I think overall we're kind of on the up and up, as far as kind of where other teams stand and kind of how they're looking.
One thing I think that can lead into some positive vibes here is that we've got some players either having returned or will be returning here in the short term. Obviously, we've got suspended players like Fofana and Kukurea, who are now eligible for our next match. Reece James, we saw make his re-debut earlier today. Ben Chilwell was out sick all this week. That's why he didn't play, but he should be back midweek here. So think about this time last year where we had an injury list of 9 players, 10 players. There's a real possibility that we get that cleared out by Thursday this week, barring any injuries in training. I may know the answer for both of you guys here, but is there a player coming back that you are most specifically excited for?
Alan, do you got one? Why don't you kind of kick us off?
So mine was Reece James. I'm glad that he was subbed and didn't go for a full 90 today. I was expecting maybe about 60 minutes. What do you get? Maybe 49, 50 minutes? 53 minutes today. It's a solid return. He doesn't look as bulky, and I don't mean bulky like chunky. I mean bulky like muscle fit as he did the last time he was out there. I think he's cut some of that muscle, which is good. Everything I read is that in a game of endurance, being more built isn't necessarily the best option. So, I'm glad to see him looking a little trim. He's a leader in this squad, very young squad that we don't have a lot of leaders with. And honestly, you can't deny him whipping in a ball for Jackson wouldn't just hit home real nice there. So, no, I'm most excited to see Reece James hopefully finally get a nice little run of games here.
I think he needs it. I also am really curious to see if he plays the inverted wingback position. I think everyone's been kind of like holding their breath for that moment too, because Reece has been talked about as advanced as a winger, as not as kind of like play where Caicedo is. Could he do it? How good at that would he be? Kind of distribute through the midfield, which we all know he can play a pretty accurate ball. So I'm curious to see if he gets a run of games, if that kind of transitions to him. And it kind of depends on if Gusto is playing on the left, if Kukurea is playing on the left, or who his partners are with. Kind of my gut tells me that Kukurea plays it if he's in. because he's been kind of the most successful at it. But one guy that I didn't see on the team list today, and I didn't see any reason why, and I don't know if either of you guys know about it, is Kyle Mudryk. I thought that this game would be perfect for him because I wanted to see kind of those outlet balls go his way. It didn't feel like a Sancho game to me, and Sancho didn't play his best game today. I thought it would have been a speed on a counter kind of a type situation for him. And I was upset to not see him make the squad, and I didn't see any reason why he didn't make the squad. So when he can kind of find his return back, I think there's still a role in this team for him. Pedro Neto has not impressed me a lot. He had more moments today to impress me, and he still is kind of like let me down a little bit. Noni, for as much as like he's polarizing, he has pretty good moments, right? He still has those, great take on moments and creates a lot. Sancho creates a lot. So I think that like a backup spot there is still pretty open for a Mudryk to kind of come in on.
Yeah, I was actually, as the question was presented, that was kind of my first thought too, was Mudryk. I would have loved to have seen him just put TAA through the ringer. We all have or there are a lot of questions about, is he just kind of a midfielder who's playing as a right back? Can he actually defend? We know that that's been a big talking point about his game for a while. And I mean, he did okay defensively, but I thought Sancho probably ultimately did a little bit better. But you would give somebody like Mudryk just all that pace, just going straight at you. I think he could have done a lot of damage. So yeah, that was a good call out, Parker. For me, the person who I'm excited about, and somebody who I think also would have played a good role in this game, I think would have been João Felix. I feel like the I feel like we were lacking with some of our runs, and just kind of having somebody pop up in those spaces. We know Cole Palmer does that a lot, but he didn't have his best game. Liverpool did a pretty decent job of containing him, but João Felix is somebody who can kind of pop up in those spots, play that 1-2 ball. I would have liked to have seen him out there, possibly over Neto. I think that might have been a better decision. But I still think he has a lot to offer this club. I know kind of his position is kind of taken up right now by Jackson and Nkunku, but I do think that he does offer a different, more dynamic look than somebody like, possibly a Pedro Neto would. So I'm still kind of waiting on bated breath for João Felix to get his chance and kind of reinvigorate his career with Chelsea. I think he can do it, and he just needs the opportunities to do so.
I will say I did love that ball that Neto put in, though, that I wish Nkunku would have finished off. That was a sexy
Fantastic.
ball.
Fantastic. Little hot, but man, that was right where it needed to be.
All right. Well, boys, we got we did talk about the fixture list a little bit here. We returned to the Conference League here in midweek after winning last fixture against Ghent. What are we expecting with the away trip to Panathinaikos?
A lot of Euros.
It's going to be an interesting one. I mean, you alluded to it, Collins. Like it's a tough place to play, and you got the Premier League on Sunday right after it. So I feel like it's going to be kind of our full B squad, which I think our full B squad is good enough. And that's where, like, if like a Mudryk doesn't make the squad list for whatever reason there, like that's where I'm going to start to really wonder what's going on with him. But I fully kind of expect our B squad to be able to go in and at least compete, pretty much handle their business. It should be hotly contended, but I think like our team is good enough to kind of go in anywhere on this fixture list. No one truly scares me in this Conference League, and I know that probably sounds conceited, but it just they're early like games. it was still very, very, very new, and there was still like a lot of moving pieces with our team. And I just have to believe that every day at Cobham we're getting a little bit better and training a little bit harder. We were playing up against people that had been training and working for 3-4 weeks versus us who had like kind of a week of training under our belts. So I think that exposed us a little bit more. I think on a like for like basis we should be able to go in and take care of business.
So the one thing that worries me about Panathinaikos is their defense. I'm not too worried about them scoring. They've scored 7 goals in their last 7 games in all competitions. They've been shut out 3 of those games. But they've only conceded 7 goals in that time too. They shut out Ajax in a qualification match for this competition, and Ajax has had their struggles, but at the end of the day, that's still a top tier European club, well, top-ish tier. Man, I worry without Nico Jackson where necessarily goals are going to come for in a tough environment like that against a physical team. I know Nkunku can score goals. I know João Felix can score goals, but I don't know that they can do that against the physicality of a Greek squad like this. So I would expect a low-scoring affair, almost a more boring match than what we're accustomed to this year.
I think chances will be there. Again, we're not, I know that we're very, very popular in Greece, so I don't want to, burn any bridges there, but it's not the upper echelon of world football, shall we say. So you look at the competition, yeah, it's probably not great who they're going up against, and they've got 7 goals conceded. May not be the best competition either that they're going up against. So I'm not worried. I'm more so this year than any other year. I'm not worried about the opportunities that are going to be there. I'm not worried about that. We're going to create our chances, no problem. It's the finishing of those chances. That's always the biggest question mark, right? You take out Nico, Cole Palmer is, I don't even know if he's on the squad list for this. So you take away your 2 most important pieces of the attack from a stats perspective, and then what do you do? So I think it'll be interesting to see, but I still think we're going to have our chances, and we are going to have people find the back of the net. So I'm not as worried about this. Whatever squad it is, A squad, B squad, doesn't matter. We have enough talent to go up against teams like this and to be able to go in and handle our business.
Collins, you want to put a friendly bet on the game?
I'm down. What are we wagering here?
Well, we're wagering the standard wager, which is a bottle of whiskey. But I was gonna say we set the over under goals scored for Chelsea at 2, meaning 2 is a draw, and I get 3 and you get 1-0.
Make it 2.5 and I'm in.
So you get 2.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
1.5.
I have not looked at any of the Vegas lines of this at all, but yeah, you're on. I'll take that.
Now I'm curious what the Vegas line is.
I will be referee for this one.
I think goals will be had. I think that we'll have plenty of chances to score goals. I know that that's hilarious of me to say out loud. We've played games where we bang on the door for 90 minutes plus and score maybe 1. But no, I think I think speed kills, and I think that the way like a Joao Felix can move the ball around, the way a Christopher Nkunku can move the ball around, I think that can help unlock, and it just takes 2 or 3 quick passes for that to, get some relatively easy chances to go.
Over under is 2.5, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
All right, let's do it. So we got that game coming up on Thursday, boys. I'm at a loss. I kind of flamed out after going after Matt early on in this pod. Anything else wrapping up the Liverpool match you guys want to discuss before we sign off for the week?
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not fun stuff. I wanted to talk about like Renato Veiga just because I thought he was not great today. And Matt, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I thought you made a really solid point about who should play over him in situations like this. So I'll turn the floor over to you.
Yeah, the notion, I guess that it's just the notion that you have a 19-year-old making coming in as a sub late in a game that you're trying to win, nonetheless, or you're trying to even draw a level and much less probably go on to try to win. And you bring in a 19-year-old who I'm not against him. I like him as a player. You're putting him into a system he's not comfortable with. He is visibly not comfortable with. And we've seen this multiple times, I think, so far out of him this year. You could tell that the level that the game was too much for him right now. To be put in that position, it was too much for him. He looked lost, he looked confused, didn't really know what his place was. To me, I think that's a big issue when you have other individuals who can fill that role. Maybe not, by trade as a left back or whatever, but you have somebody who you basically brought over from your previous team who knows your system very well, who could slot in and probably do that similar role. You wouldn't be asking KDH to press forward. You would have him probably sit back a little bit deeper and, have just play that midfield and then defend, probably not have him bomb as far forward. To me, I think that would have been a better option. Obviously, if Chills was healthy, I think he's the one that goes in, just with the experience. But it's just interesting, and it almost doesn't seem fair to Viega to put him out there in a game of that level when, he's coming from a lower league. He's young. It's a brand new system. He's still trying to get, his feet under him. To me, it just kind of seemed like a situation where he was set up to fail.
Can I just interject real quick that KDH being a better left back than Renato Vega is a worse take than me saying he's going to be the Thiago Silva of the midfield. You want a number 8 to play left back?
I want somebody who knows the system to play.
Just because he knows the system doesn't mean he knows how to play left back in that system.
The thing about that though is you would understand. Yeah, go ahead, Parks.
Ooh, pick me.
Yes, Parker.
Literally one of the only other options we had today was your boy Axel Disasi. Why not keep Gusto on the left and then put Disasi as our right back? Straight swap for James. Like that makes way more sense in this situation to me than putting on Viega. And I know this is revisionist history. Like we're Viega's looked decent when he's come in. He's played a decent role. I know a lot of people were like kind of calling for him to just start over Cucurella even, which I thought was crazy, but people are saying it. So he's obviously doing something to impress. This was kind of his, to coin a term that Collins has used, his regression to the mean day. This was his kind of come back to earth moment of he is 19. He still has a long way to go. And in a situation like today, my biggest disappointment today came from what was our best build-up attack moment in the second half. And it had Nico pull off some wizardry in the middle as hold-up play, and he put it out to Viega. And then the attack died. And it's just kind of like one of those, like if you can't put with your left boot, you can't put a ball into the box to someone to get on the end of when you're trying to go for, a game tying goal. Disappointing. It's like the Chills special, which makes it hurt even more when a guy like Chills isn't available, because it's like, man, Chills feeds balls like that into the box. That's his job. That's what he does. That's what he does really, really well. And then when a Viega gets on the end of it and it just kind of fizzles out and goes nowhere, it hurts. There's nothing really more to say about it. Just kind of it hurts, and it makes you realize like what you once had and that this isn't it. But I think he still has a future with the team. I think he still plays a good role for us. Today just was not his best, and it was kind of the shortcomings were put highly on blast and made very, very, very clear to us.
Yeah, from what I've seen in the match and what I've seen out of Vega this year, that's a this is a bit of an overreaction. The guy has looked good. Think of his debut against City opening week. Played the last 10 minutes, and we were wowed by him. You know, played against Servette. He did well, did decently there. We were saying how well he came on as a sub against Brighton. Played well against Ghent. Granted, these are kind of lower level teams, but there has been nothing in the data, nothing in the eye test, watching him out there, that would make you say, "Wow, this is too much for him." Now, I agree, Parker, that Disasi at right back and leaving Gusto on the left would have been the better move, but Disasi's being frozen out here. There was already smoke around Disasi basically getting the Chilwell treatment in training camp of, hey, you're not a part of my squad. You need to get with your agent and find a new club. I think he's on the roster, or he's on these team sheets because he has to be. I don't think there's another option at center back, especially when you're already down 2 defenders. So logically, thinking through that mindset, I don't see any issue with Vega coming on. And sometimes these games are too much. Parker, you and I just talked about how this is a top 3 team in England over the last 6, 7, 8 years. Team that's challenged in the Champions League, team that's challenged for several cups. And we are a young, inexperienced team. And these are the kind of performances that you're going to get every once in a while. This is his first big start. Let's see, I'm looking back here. The last Premier League game he started was Bournemouth back September 14th. So he hasn't even played a full 90 in the Premier League in a while here. So shit's going to happen. But from everything else I've seen out of him this year, he has looked like a very solid option for this squad off the bench. He can dribble, he can defend. He can go forward, he can put balls in. Off day is an off day. We've seen off days from Reece James. We've seen several off days from Ben Chilwell. Shit happens.
I wouldn't even say it's on Viega. I'm looking at this more from the decision to have him on by Maresca, and also to pair him basically with Benoit Badiashile, who we haven't seen a lot of this season. Just the combination of just certain things. It again, I'm not saying that the moment was too big for him. That's just how it looked at certain times. Like, I remember he missed like a 3-foot pass to Pedro Neto on the left. Like, you can't have that. So just again, from the look, I'm not saying he can't handle it. I'm not saying that whatsoever. It's just how it looked today. That's all. That's all it is. It's a bad game. Fine. I'm okay with that. It's going to happen. That's just how it looked today. I'm not saying he's not capable of doing more, putting up good performances. That's not it at all. It's a combination of bringing him into that game with kind of that system, also pair with Benoit Badiashile at the left, who we haven't seen a ton of. That's kind of a new partnership all in itself. I think Enzo came in at that same point in the midfield, so you're kind of changing that around a little bit too. There were just a lot of moving pieces that I don't think helped the case for Viega and kind of making him comfortable with him coming on and doing that. I think that aided in making him look like he was uncomfortable just based on how he played today.
It was not only a triple sub, which I always laugh because that's what I always did in FIFA. And I didn't think managers in real life actually did that. I know with the 5 subs now you kind of have to, but it was not only a triple sub, but it also, our 2 left defenders moved to the right. So it was like 3 new people and 2 people playing in different positions because of the sub. So Matt, to your point, a lot changed. And when Levi and Badiashile played together, when Levi and Badiashile played together with Gusto and Vega, with Enzo, and like none of this
And then
is
the
by
center
design.
back switched. And then the center back switched sides too, halfway
Exactly.
through. Like, just there was so much going on, and it did not help. I think it made things look maybe a lot worse than they appeared. But again, that's just what it looked like. It just looked uncomfortable.
And that's why we call it chaos ball.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing, so how can you know what we're doing?
Yep. Keep them guessing.
Well, I do want to close with one thought of another player who was labeled as possibly not good enough or not looking good enough by other members of this podcast, and that's Nico Jackson. Scored his 20th competitive goal for the club in only a season and a couple months. Nico Jackson, starting striker, and that's all I have to say.
And nobody's listening. So he took a chance and he capitalized on it. I, more so than anybody, was shocked. I thought he was actually going to get chased down because Robertson did make a late challenge at the end. It looked like everybody was closing in on him. It looked like another scenario where you've seen golden opportunity wasted. I have no complaints. He handled it like a true striker. He finished it. He was composed. All the credit in the world to him. I thought he had a really good game today.
I already commented on his hold-up play, which was solid, especially in the one moment that I commented on. He also hit the target on a ball that no one really expected him to hit the target on. I don't know if they call that on target or not. I can't remember. If it hits the crossbar and goes over, is that on target? Can't remember.
No.
It's on target in my book. It's not on the stat book, but he hit the crossbar.
And it was slightly deflected too, which wasn't called.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he had a great game. Very, very, very solid game.
All right. Well, on that note, any closing thoughts from you guys?
Collins just did that to get us to say nice things about Nico. Neither of us have hated Nico, man. We just want him to do it more consistently. That's all.
I'm probably more forward in how I say it, but yes, I want consistency out of him.
All right. Well, on that note, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a comment how much you love Nico Jackson, how much you hate Renato Vega, whatever you want to leave. Go ahead and leave it. Make sure to follow us on social media. Parker, thank you for being on social media duty today. You can check us out at Flag Down Pod on X, the Elonverse, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And boys, it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to recapping 2 matches with you guys next week.
Up to Chelsea.
Later, boys.